When it comes to speedrunning, Trackmania is probably one of the most prestigious games to hold a world record on. Because the game has had an active player base for well over a decade, it is no surprise that most official tracks are fairly optimized. Growing up, I've always looked up to the players who would dare to go for world records, as my level of skill wasn't, and still isn't, nowhere near close to theirs, and for the most part, I just accepted that I would probably never get a world record myself. But recently, I found a track that would change my Trackmania world record history forever. This is TMN Race H7, a track featured in the first version of Trackmania. I rediscovered this track in around March 20th, and was instantly hooked. The map features a really awkward transition from a loop into bare road, which in theory should force you to respawn in the checkpoint in order to keep driving. But of course, Trackmania players are way too inventive and there's obviously an alternate way. If you angle your car very slightly when leaving the loop, and as you land, quickly tap brake and turn, you can perform an oddly satisfying turnaround that not only allows you to keep driving without respawning, but if done correctly lets you carry out an enormous amount of speed. Using this strategy, in 2016 the player Virtual was able to set a world record of 41.64. Surprisingly enough, I was able to learn this trick fairly quickly, and started going for complete runs with a goal in mind, to reach top 10 in the world. Because H7 is a very unexplored map that not everyone has the patience to play, it really wasn't that difficult, and in about a week I was able to reach 7th place in the world with a time of 42.38. I was starting to get confident that I could improve my time even further and maybe even beat Virtual's record. But as I was uploading my run into the leaderboards, I realized there was a record that I had completely forgotten. A 41.07 by Plastrex. In 2017, Plastrex had set a new world record using a shortcut, one that I had completely forgotten even existed. In the start, he takes a wider line in order to gather speed, and in the first jump, instead of going straight, he turns to the right, jumping off the road, perfectly bouncing on the red inflatable block and landing in the upper platform. This way he skips the loop transition and manages to get an over half a second lead over Virtual's record. Even though the shortcut looked rather intimidating at first, I still decided to give it a shot to test how difficult it actually was, and it turns out it was very difficult. To execute this shortcut correctly, you have to brake just as your car starts leaving the road. If you brake too early, you will just crash into the wall, and if you brake too late, the outcome is way too inconsistent to work with. Not only that, but you also have to hit the red block in a very specific spot in order to get a good bounce. Plus, if you actually manage to get the shortcut, in the end of the map there's a loop where you can get a so-called landing bug. A very annoying bug that makes your car lose speed or turn upside down completely. But in some way, this difficulty captivated me, and I started looking a bit deeper into Plasterx's run. After some testing, I came to the conclusion that starting to turn right in between this TM sign and this one gave me better angle for the jump, enabling me for a better bounce. Using this newly acquired knowledge, I started getting my first successful bounces, and even managed to get a time of 42.02 using the shortcut. But never got even close to Plastrex's masterfully executed shortcut. It seemed like no matter what, I would never get a bounce as good as the world record. So I took a quick break from the map and came back to it 2 days later. But little did I know, I was about to discover a ticket to the world record. After 2 days, I went for the first attempt in a while on the map, and forgot to take the wide line at the start. But when I went for the shortcut, this happened. Only later did I realize what had just happened. I was able to get the shortcut without the extra speed at the start. It may not seem like it, but this was a huge discovery. Without the extra line at the start, I automatically had a nearly 0.2 seconds lead over Plastrex, which meant I no longer had to get a better shortcut, but rather a similar one. So I kept trying, and trying, with seemingly no progress at all. Not using the same strategy as Plastrex in the start made the shortcut a lot harder, since I had less speed, but I had to do it if I wanted to get the world record. After about 15 hours of relentlessly crashing my car into an inflatable block, I was starting to lose hope. But suddenly, this happened. .47, 4/10 of a second behind the world record. This run was rather bittersweet, because while I did get the second best time on the map, it could have been way better. Just look at this. He takes speed in the beginning, right? And I didn't. And I got a perfect bounce. But in the grass slide, I just touched the... Oh my god. I land earlier. If I had managed to grass slide without hitting the wall, that was world record based. And Plaster X has like a terrible end, so oh my god. Perhaps if I didn't crash it would have been enough to beat the world record, as in the end of his run, Plaster X got a somewhat unlucky landing in the loop, which cost him about 2/10 of a second. While this run was a big reality check, it also motivated me. I had just proven myself I was capable of getting the world record. If I kept going, it was just a matter of time until the right outcome would happen. So I kept going. According to Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But fortunately, Trackmania wasn't a thing when Albert Einstein crafted his theory. And after 22 total hours of doing the same thing over and over again, I got a 1 in a million outcome. As I looked at the checkpoint timer, I could not believe what I was seeing. I had a 2-second lead over my personal best. I had never, ever, in over 20 hours of playing this track, gotten a bounce even close to this one. My hands started shaking as I tried my best to keep calm and drive the rest of the map, and as I passed through each checkpoint, I see my lead slowly decreasing. 1.71, 0.96, 0.85, Yes! Yes, caralho, consegui! Eu não acredito, eu não acredito, eu não acredito, eu não acredito. And that would put an end to my story on H7. Maybe if I didn't crash the wall in that one attempt, I would have got the world record a lot sooner, but because I didn't and just kept going, I ended up achieving something even greater. Seeing all those hours I spent on the map finally rewarded was one of the best feelings I've had in this game, and who knows, maybe in the future I'll try to go for more. But for now, I'm just gonna relax and enjoy my shot of dopamine. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next video.